Day.
Tributes from family, friends, and leaders as the nation mourns the passing of President George H.W. Bush. I'm Ethan Forhetz.
I'm Lisa Rose. On this National Day of Mourning and the state funeral for President George H.W. Bush, Americans are remembering a great man and his incredible service to this country as a fighter pilot, a congressman, a CIA director, a vice president, and president of the United States.
What a life. Bass Pro Shops founder Johnny Morris is honoring the president for all of those things, but is also mourning the loss of a longtime fishing buddy. Mr. Morris will attend the private funeral service for President Bush tomorrow in Texas. But today, he took some time to tell me about his dear friend of about 30 years.
We've become very close with President Bush, and being off in tent camps for like 10 summers, we went to Canada together. You really get to know somebody in a fishing boat or on a river or stream.
The person Johnny Morris got to know was a genuine man who believed in service to this country and in the importance of conservation.
He did have a passion about our natural resources, and especially fish and wildlife. He did make a lasting impact that will serve us well for generations to come. I believe that with all my heart. I know it, and I've seen it.
Johnny Morris cites lasting legislation as proof. President Bush established 56 new wildlife refuges during his 4-year administration, strengthened the Clean Air Act, and signed the North American Wetlands Conservation Act into law. President Bush also asked Morris to sit on a special committee focused on making fishing better in this country. But it was the time spent on the water or wading in the water that created their bond.
That's what really attracted, what sparked our introduction, was that shared love for fishing.
And if you know fishermen, you know there are stories, like the one that goes with this pic of a hastily called together news conference at Kennebunkport.
And the Secret Service guy was in the back of the boat. He came and he said, Mr. President, you need to get to shore to take this call.
It was Mikhail Gorbachev from the USSR.
It was an attempted coup, and he had been captured.
Your fishing trip was interrupted by Mikhail Gorbachev.
Yes.
Calling to say there was a coup.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
Along with those amazing stories are stacks of letters from President Bush, who had a great sense of humor.
2009, I get this note from the president that says, Dear Johnny, a preview of coming attractions. Here's our Christmas card for this year. Please notice the shameless advertising on my shirt. I miss you, old friend. Then he's wearing a Bass Pro shirt on their Christmas card for him and Mrs. Bush there.
It's well known President Bush did not like broccoli. But did you know he loved Ozark's morel mushrooms?
I was going to be with him in the mushroom season. I'd take him fresh morel mushrooms and fry them up. It's just a picture of me and him. Just before we polished off that plate of mushrooms.
So you took him some mushrooms.
A friendship between George Bush and Johnny Morris. A friendship built over many years of casting lines and reeling in fish. A friendship built on the love of the great outdoors this country offers.
You know, selfishly, I feel like I lost a heck of a special friend in my life. But that's being selfish, because I also feel darn happy I got to meet him and spend all the time I did with him and just see him rub good things off on a lot of people. Yeah, for sure.
Johnny Morris last saw President Bush in person over the summer and said it felt at the time like a final goodbye. By the way, Johnny Morris said President Bush considered the Americans with Disabilities Act to be the accomplishment he's most proud of during his presidency. And you might recall President Bush served as honorary co-chairman of Wonders of Wildlife, along with President Carter when it opened last year. Oh, and I was curious about this, so I asked. Johnny Morris said he always referred to the president as President Bush or Mr. President, never as George.
And I'll bet you didn't talk any politics about this today.
We didn't talk any politics, and Mr. Morris said he never talked politics with the president. He said maybe 10 times or 10 minutes worth over the years, 30-year relationship, did they ever talk politics. It was always about focusing on fishing, the outdoors, and family, which is important to both of them.
Again, another wonderful tribute to the president today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you to our own Johnny.